All right, everybody, welcome to day two. Yesterday we talked about overspending. Now we're talking about something different, overtaxing, right? Because that's probably some of the reasons why we are overspending, because of all these taxes and fees and hidden fees and delivery charges, everything else. So welcome to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, day two. It is not always a pleasant place here, but this is the information you need to start building your life in a different way, right? I talked about this before for anyone new. What you did to get you to this level is not going to be what gets you to the next level. And what you did, what our parents did, and even a generation, not even two generations back, what they did to grow wealth and be successful is not our plan. Anybody who's living now, you cannot do the things that were done years before you. So to get there, you have to understand where we are. And getting to understand where we are, sometimes it hurts a little bit because you're going to start hearing and seeing some things that you probably knew about, but when I break it down this way, it's gonna get you real upset. And that's good, because that'll spark the change that you need. So this is about education and awareness and making sure you see it, because when you don't see it, that's when it's the most dangerous, because little by little it just creeps up on you. So taxes. I mean, everyone's got something to say about this one. Nothing crazy here. Nobody likes them. Nobody really understands them. But when you start to think about how much we pay in taxes, that's when it gets crazy. Let's just start with sales tax before we even get to your salary, right? You go buy that new car, $50,000, $60,000. In New York, you're paying your 8.625% sales tax. Now you have it for 2 years. Hey, you want another new car. You sell that car and you buy a new car. That new car you pay tax on again. That second sale, someone else is still paying tax. Why are you paying tax the second time on that same item? That one item will get taxed down the chain, which is absolutely ridiculous if you just think of that in itself. But pair it together with your actual salary, right? You may make $100,000 a year, but what do you take home? If you're lucky in the 25% tax bracket, so you're bringing home 75, but that 25 is right off the top. You never even see it. It's gone. So when you start looking at things one by one, like, okay, well, listen, we need the taxes to do the roads and the things like that. All right, well, we need the sales tax for this, that, and the other thing. We start really breaking down more into taxes. Well, why do we need taxes on gas? Taxes on every other thing we do, there is a tax or a fee. Why is there a tax on your phone bill? Like you have taxes on phone bills. There is so much tax out there. Taxes on your Easy Pass. There is so much out there that you don't even know, because sometimes they're small little numbers and we've become so numb to it that's part of the problem. But then you look at everything, and then there's, if you look at insurance, homeowners insurance, you got these nonsense terrorist fees and patriot fees, and they've learned very quickly that people hate the word taxes. So what they've done is start to shift that into fees, right? Because fees are different. They're not taxes. Still a tax on you. You don't realize it because they're calling it a fee, right? Like I've mentioned a lot with airlines, when the oil prices were super high. Well, listen, we're going to charge you for your bag so we can keep the flights the same. You're just going to pay for your bag. If you don't need one, you save. If you do, it's just covering our costs because of oil went up so high, right? So they decoupled planes and baggage. And then what happened? Well, gas prices came back down. Did they ever get rid of those baggage fees? No. That was it. That was basically them raising the price. They just did it in a different way so you would absorb it. Because if they just raised all the fees to cover their costs, people would stop flying. But if it's just a fee, it's different. And now you just accept those baggage fees. And that is their model for everything now. You're seeing it across the board. Electric companies, gas companies, they charge my gas company charges a delivery fee. But that's it. That's it for a second. How am I supposed to get the gas here? Do I have an option of running a garden hose and doing it myself? No. But they broke it up so they could say their per whatever it is, therms is this rate. We haven't increased it, but you have a delivery fee. This is what they do. These are the games they play because they know how much people hate taxes, right? It's the same thing. And you look at homeowners insurance, car insurance, all these things have just gone up and up and up. And what they do is say, well, listen, car insurance goes up because people keep having accidents and there's fraud and things like that. And I believe that to an extent. But just like COVID and everything else that went on, there's what it goes up and then what you tack on top of that, right? So if your costs go up 5% because now it costs that much more because of, supply chain issues, well, you charge me, the end user, 15%. So this is where we got into this situation of inflation because it was free reign for everyone to do what they wanted to do. So listen, you can just blame COVID for just about anything. Oh, cost went up at COVID, and then it was the COVID cost to them plus what they tacked on. But their biggest things right now is decoupling. And once they start doing that, it is a dangerous, dangerous slope because you think your costs are the same. And then at the end, you're paying more and you didn't even know why you're paying more. And that's one of the things I talk about, especially with homeownership. Ton of hidden costs of homeownership. And it starts from the top. It starts from their fees. It starts from, them increasing the cost to file a deed or file a permit for a plumber or an electrician. All of that stuff triggers a downhill of everyone tacking on, right? Because now the plumber has to pay $500 more to get that permit. You're not going to say, oh, it's $500 more. You're going to pay $850 or $900 now. So there's every time someone touches it, you pay more. And that's one of the things with the hidden costs of homeownership, right? You look at your taxes, everyone's a big thing. Hey, we look at our taxes. Then you look at the insurances, which manage to double or triple in some cases out of nowhere. Basically, they're spreading their risks for the entire country into certain areas. Insurance is just like insurance in blackjack. It's just a giant scam. Because then when you do need it, they're going to find whatever way they can to get out of it. And you have to get an insurance adjuster because if you don't, they will look for every loophole to get out of it. But same thing when it comes to this hidden cost of homeownership, right? You buy your house, you're like, okay, good. Well, now in certain areas where they see growth and they need more revenue, what they'll start doing is these, we call them in the school board, they're unfunded mandates, right? So I know in New Jersey now, you need a lead paint inspection every 2 years or 3 years, something like that. So they knew the rental community was growing and they were getting a lot of landlords in there. They see the money, they can't raise the taxes. So what do? They create this, well, it's to protect the people. We need these lead paint tests every 2 years now. Now, if you get a lead paint test once, I'm again for that. But every 2 years, just like a fire inspection every year now, $250 there. No, you need a fire alarm system. That's another $750. So what happens is you feel like nothing changed. My taxes didn't go up, but how come I have less? And that's why it's these hidden fees and surcharges that are killing us when you pay taxes on taxes. And that's where a big part of, you get a contractor. So you got your homeowner, then you got your plumber, your electrician, you're going to need to get work done there. All of those costs have exponentially gone up too. So not only is it going to cost you more than, say, it did our parents when they bought a house, it's going to cost you more to get things done while you're being taxed at a level that we have never seen before. So I straddle this weird world because I am, I say, a Xennial or like an older millennial born in 81. I have life before all this technology and I adapted to it. So I see when the younger generation is like, what's the point? The older generation is like, oh, these guys don't want to work like I did. I get that because I think there is an element of like not wanting to work, but not wanting to work because what is the point? You are not going to do what they did by doing that type of work. You will never get ahead because their spread was this and your spread is now this. Because while you're paying all these hidden fees and surcharges and taxes, you're not making that much more and trying to cram more into a day. And that's the other part too, working longer days and hours, even though it may be flexible with remote and things like that. But you have no chance of getting ahead on a W-2. Not in the way that they've done it. So I could see the younger generation realizing like, what is the point of all this? Because that at me is one point, like, what am I doing here? I'm just working to work. I'm not doing anything I actually enjoy. And doing that's not going to get you ahead anyway. So it's this passing of fees that's coming down. We're seeing a lot of it. And with home ownership, it's inspections, it's, all the extra stuff that they'll make you do. And it just backfills, it spurs the economy, right? Oh, well, now you need backflow tests every year. So whoever jumps into that business, if you want to have a good business, jump into whatever the government mandates for no reason. They were doing basement fire alarms in New Jersey. No one, I think, ever had one prior to it. New Jersey made it a law now that you have to have it with all these crazy restrictions. And I get the idea of it. They want to be able, firemen, if they go into a basement and there's no way out, like they want these kind of alarms, fine. But they made these crazy rules to it, very vague. They dumped it out on everybody and now puts it on the local municipalities to figure out how to do it. So guess what? They're now charging for it. These fire alarm companies are making a fortune. You're paying the city now extra to do these inspections. You're talking about on some properties could be an extra $2,000 a year. Could they ever raise your taxes $2,000 a year without you flipping out? No. But if they do it this way under it's safety, it's under the guise of safety, they can get away with a lot. And that's what they've been doing lately. So and one of the other parts is these when they're talking fees and surcharges, this is how they do it to you. It's the same playbook. Please write this part down. Out of everything, it is the same playbook every time. When they want to do something like congestion, pricing in the city, they throw something so crazy out that you're like, oh my God, what's going on? And then they back it up. They'll wait for the outrage. They know what they're doing. They wait for the outrage. Oh, we're listening. Okay, you're right. You know what? We're going to make it half of that. And we'll start it a little bit later. And the next thing you know, everyone goes, oh, thank God. It's not right now. It's going to be in 3 months. And look, they cut it down to half. You feel like you're getting a deal. Do you realize what they just did? That is negotiating 101. They have thrown something crazy out at you, and then you accept that smaller step, which is all they wanted to begin with. It is historic over and over again. They've done it with mortgages, credit reports, right? When you do a loan, it used to be like $30-$40. I think they're somewhere up in the $200-$300 range. It is insane because they know you need it, and they saw the refi boom. And then when the refi boom stopped, they're like, well, we need to make more money. So they just up those fees. What they'll do though, is they'll add something crazy and then they'll wait for the backlash and then they'll pull it back to half. That is every single time, every single thing. Go ahead and look at it. That is their number one playbook. The other thing they love to do, especially around taxes, they love to pin people up against each other, right? Well, Jeff Bezos doesn't pay any taxes. Donald Trump doesn't pay any taxes. Look how much money they make and they don't pay taxes. When you're sitting there saying, well, I pay a lot of taxes, how come they don't pay taxes? And next thing you know, what did they do? They took the flashlight and shined it on one person. So now you two are fighting with each other about who's paying more taxes, and no one's asking the question, what the hell are you doing with all the taxes to begin with? Right? That's the real question. What did you do with the money that we gave you? And they can never answer that. So the thing to do is point the spotlight away, make you guys fight with each other, right? Because I understand the tax code. I understand both sides of it. I think we're all getting too much tax. But on a business standpoint, they need businesses to create jobs. So they have to give these incentives and tax breaks, or else no one would take the risk to start a company. That's the benefit of it, right? And then the people you hire are paying the taxes and everything else, it filters down that way. But when you start pitting people up against each other, no one's even looking at, well, what are you doing with the money that you have? And that's their other tactic. They will throw something in there to get you distracted. Like, you guys see that drone? Everybody see the drones? No. That's what I'm talking about. Do we even talk about the drones anymore? They know our attention span is pathetic, and they're no longer scared of our outrage because they know it's going to be short-lived. Very rarely can you pull something together like they did for, a Bud Light or a boycott, because they just know we're creatures of habit and we're lazy and we're going to always go towards the easiest way. So they know, as mad as you are, very rarely will they backpedal like they used to. They just take it, just give it time, point the flashlight somewhere else for a little while, and you'll forget. And next thing you know, just like your baggage fees that you're still paying, well, gas prices are much lower than they were back when they initiated them. You've decoupled those fees. So insurances, let's go. This is we talked about the tax code's the big one. That's what they love to get us fighting against each other. But one of the ones when I was because this all started for me being at the mall, one of the ones that started it off is you're paying your 8.6% sales tax. And now they're throwing the credit card processing fee at you. And I still don't know how this got through, much like the congestion pricing, when enough people lobby for it, which we'll get to that in a minute. This is how these things pass, right? But now the credit card company, the $1.1 trillion worth of debt they have with their 30% interest rates and their 50% profit margins, now decoupled credit card processing from your service. So for the business owner, this is great because you could be like, hey, listen, this is my prices. That's a credit card processing fee if you want to pay it. But what they're doing, and this is where I have fault with the business owners, is you take credit cards to make your life easier, right? You don't have to deal with cash. You don't have to have someone sitting there counting change, giving. Think about how much business you do more because you accept credit cards, whether it's online, whether it's in person, and you can get the volume of people. Imagine a Starbucks where everybody that day came in and paid cash. How much less volume would they do on that day? It'd be significant, right? You're talking about, and then at the end of the day, that manager or that owner's got to get the bag of pennies and change, and then they have to go to the bank. Think about how much time you using a card saves them. So I can't understand that's your cost of doing business. Do not throw it back to us. That's one of my biggest issues with that is I get it. It's a fee. You want to throw it in your price? Throw it in your price and then let us decide if it's worth it. But by decoupling, again, you've made it like, well, it's only $12 and then you're paying your 4%. Only it's $100 and then you're paying your 4% on top of your 8%. You're now paying theoretically 12% taxes on things you buy on top of your 25 to 30% to 40% taxes you pay on your income. And then the taxes on the roads and the taxes and the tolls and everything else. Do you see like that 4% was like, how are you throwing this to us? Because if we all come and start using cash, your profit's going to go down to the point that you want to go back to the credit card company and fight them because that's your fight. Why are they charging you 4%? You negotiate a better rate with them if you want to use them. But that is not the consumer's cost to pay. And that's something recently that I was like, that is a lot to throw off on us. Your life is easier and we're just absorbing that cost and we don't say anything. Where have we gotten? What have we been doing? Why are we sleeping on this? And then you say a lot of times like, well, what are we supposed to do? You know, this is how it is. It's much easier to do it. And this is my takeaway for day 2. If we keep doing what we're doing, they're never going to stop. It's not here. They're going to keep going and they'll find another way to tax you, another way to throw in a fee. You have to stop. And how do you stop it? Because you have to pay gas. I doubt they're going to let me run that garden hose for my natural gas. But you have to start somewhere. And you start somewhere by rethinking your relationship with cash, right? It's twofold. One, if you start using cash more, you're going to know what you have. And when you physically have to put that money out, it's a big difference than when you just swipe it, right? So one, that's going to help you be a better saver because you're going to be more thoughtful in your processes. And then 2, unintentionally, but sort of intentionally, it's going to start to hurt the businesses because they're not going to be able to do the same volume that they did. And then that's going to come down to them to figure out, hey, let's take that credit card fee back and go fight the people who were charging us to begin with. Don't put that to us. I think make them fight over the fees. And that will change a lot. You think these small little things like, hey, a cup of coffee. Yeah, you know what? A cup of coffee for $3. This cashless nonsense, it's got to stop. You have to put cash back in the system to slow down everything. What are we doing? We are flying on credit cards at the speed of light, rushing from thing to thing to make money we don't need, to impress people we don't even care about, who's also trying to make money they don't need to impress somebody they don't care about. All for what? For convenience. And that's what we keep getting jammed up on. We keep looking for convenience. And because of that, we're paying for it left and right. And the more you do this, the more you will be trapped in it. It will never stop until we collectively say that's enough. I'm paying cash everywhere now. It's not about the 4%. It's about I'm going to slow the system down. You can't make all the money you want in your business and pass every cost on to me. That is not how this works. So like I said, we're talked yesterday about saving. If we could cut back 10%, be a huge difference. So think about this now. You look at your budget, save between 5 and 10%. Find a way to cut just waste. Me and my wife already did it, and we came up with probably 10% right off the top of just waste that we can cut back to. And not because we should have to, but because we need to do it to stop this. Because if we don't, if they see they could take more and we don't fight, they're gonna take more. And it's gonna get to the point where everyone's affected. And point is, we slow this all down. We slow down them. The only way to hit people and businesses and government is in their pockets. And you hit them in their pockets by slowing down. Don't be their cog in the machine running from thing to thing because you're now paying 30%. You think about this. You just went someplace, you spent $100 on that ice cream, right? You bought it for your family. $100 on ice cream. You paid 8.65% sales tax. You paid a 4% credit card fee. Now that's on a credit card that you missed a month and you're paying 30% interest on that. What the hell is that ice cream costing you if you don't pay it off right away? You have $500 worth of ice cream on your card by the end of the year. This is why if you slow down to cash, it will change things dramatically. I think those two things coupled, like I said, I'm going to give you something every day. I'm not leaving you with bad news and nowhere to go. This will change things. So rethink your relationship with cash. It'll save you on a budgeting standpoint. It will save you and empower you again, because when you're the one physically giving that money, it's a big difference. Can you imagine if everybody just said, you know what? I'm not shopping online this week. No Amazon, no anything. I don't need anything anyway. That's a whole separate issue of probably two videos from now. Just think about that would do. That's how we reshape the corporations. We reshape the government by showing them we've had enough of certain things. Because if you don't, it is an endless trap. You will never get ahead. So rethink your relationship with cash, and slow down, right? You're working harder to pay more in taxes, more in fees to keep funding them. We are just like out of control at this point. And this is what all started to come together, which is what created this 5-day series. So see you tomorrow. We're going to be talking, I think tomorrow we're going to do stock market, 401k. It'll be more of a charting one. And then we'll keep going into Friday. We'll put it all together. So have a good one, guys.